Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Catherine and today I'm going to be going over my 2025 planner lineup and also take you guys through how I'm planning to set up my Hobonichi weeks as well as my A6 Hobonichi for next year. In my last video, I went over how I used my 2024 Hobonichi cousin for the first 3 months before I started falling off of it. And in that video, I mentioned that one of the things I didn't like about the cousin was how big the daily pages were, and it felt a little intimidating to fill out every day, and it sort of became a little bit of a chore towards the end. And I am more of a planning type, so I felt like I was planning the same thing multiple times throughout the week. So I'll be using the weekly view to plan it out, and then I have to migrate it over to the daily section. So it just kind of became a hassle. And basically moving forward, I decided to purchase a weeks and a separate journaling notebook, and they're both smaller in size than the 2024. So my thinking is I'm basically splitting the cousin into 2 books, the weeks for planning and a smaller A6 for the daily journaling. And the reason why I chose a smaller size is because I just really like things to be smaller and compact, so I feel more inclined to take this on the go. It seems like it would be easier to work with. And then the smaller real estate will make it less daunting and less pressure to kind of keep up with it. And I also think that this year I want to remind myself that, keeping up with a journal, it's not supposed to be a chore. It's supposed to be like a creative outlet, and also just somewhere you can jot down thoughts and help with mental health. And there's a lot of benefits to keeping a journal every day. And I shouldn't be thinking about it as a task to do every day in order to make my book look nice. And I think that's what I tend to do with my journals, is if I skip a couple days, I start feeling guilty and I'm like, oh no, it's not satisfying to look back on anymore. It sounds so silly, but that's where my brain tends to go sometimes. So this next year, I just need to remind myself that all of this, it's fun. In the end, your planners are working for you. You're not working for your planners. So I'm trying to keep everything as minimal as possible. I know that I cannot keep up with a ton of planners. I know that there's a lot of people out there who are able to do that. They have like a fitness planner, they have a meal planner, they have a life planner, and they have so many. For me, it's just not really realistic, and I know that I would not be able to keep up with that. So my goals are to find the most functional and most minimal, easiest system that I can use to help with my life and also have fun while doing it. So we'll go over the weeks first. And this one, my sister actually got this one for me in Japan. She went to Japan just earlier this month, and I love this cover so much. She was able to get this in the English version for me. So, opening this up, we have the first section. So this section, I know people struggle with kind of figuring out what to track here. I will be using this as like a health tracker for basically tracking my cycle and also tracking workouts. Something kind of simple, doesn't require too much because there's not much space here, but I've always used this section as kind of like a menstrual cycle tracker. So that's gonna be that. And then with the monthly section, so like I said in my previous video, realistically, I use the monthly section the least because I tend to jot down things in my iCalendar on my phone. So I think this is gonna be less for planning and more for just putting down some important dates, holidays, birthdays, vacations, and things like that. And then on the bottom right here, we're gonna be putting our like big goals for the month and sort of like a task list, a prioritized task list. So things that I definitely want to get done and scheduled into this month, I'll put down here. And then moving on to the weekly section. So on this page, let me just move this. On this left page, I've always separated, so I tend to use the thirds and I separate this down here, and on the left side I would use it as jotting down appointment times and any events, and then on the right side I'll have a running to-do list, and this is going to work in conjunction with this page on the right. So I'm going to be trying something new this time around. I've discovered the Alistair method. I've only just heard about this recently, so I'm going to give this a try. And I actually made a sample spread in my old 2023 weeks. So let me just show you that. Okay, so this is my 2023 weeks. So this was how my spread used to look like. I would have the events here, running to-do list here. I had a column for my workouts and then some goals that I needed to accomplish and get scheduled that week. And then like a mini journal over here with just some highlights and some thoughts, which I did like, but I feel like this time around I want to try something a little bit different. So this is an example spread that I made. On this page is basically the same. It's still going to be events and running to-do list. This side is where I'm going to try out the Alistair method. So essentially what we have on the left side is we have Monday to Sunday all listed out, and then we have a dot here, and then we have task here. So on the days that I need to do a certain thing, I'll put a dot on those days, and then as I do them, I'll cross them out. And then if there's something that needs to be scheduled, not on a specific day, but just sometime during the week, I'll put a dot right here and then cross it out once it's done. So the great thing about this is for things I need to do daily, like these top 4, in my old cousin, I would always have to list it out every day on the top of the page. And then so with this method, I don't need to write it out all the time, which is actually something that I really didn't like doing in the cousin, is writing down the same thing every day. So that way it saves me from setting it up every single day. And then this list here will help me when it comes to actually scheduling things on my more detailed schedule here. So I can look over here and say, okay, I need to film my video on Thursday. So then on Thursday, I will put it down somewhere here. So this is not an actual spread, this is just an example. I just made this up. And then on the bottom, I have the same highlights. And I don't know if I'm gonna keep it like this or have the highlights go all the way across. I actually made a second possible spread. So this is another layout that I am thinking about using. So in this one, I keep this column of stickies for workouts, or maybe something else, but right now for workouts. The reason why I didn't have it in here is because, like I mentioned, I'm currently pregnant. I'm due, by the time this video goes up, hopefully my baby's already here, but at the time of filming, my baby is due in a week. So for the first month or two, I'm probably not gonna be doing any crazy workouts, and so I won't needing this column. But once I'm able to return to a normal schedule, I'm thinking about maybe bringing this back, having the highlights still here, and then I would just basically shrink the Alistair method area a little bit, and it would still kind of look like this, and this side is still the same. And I also included some of my little icon stickers. I'm still experimenting with these, so they're not currently available in my shop just yet, but they will be soon, and I will definitely let you guys know when it is. I'm really excited for these because they turned out really cute. So I have this check email notification, little zoom. This is like a to-do, like a checklist to do, or like any kind of appointment, birthday, call, and I have 2 other ones. Oh, here, dentist appointment, and I have one for doctor's appointment, which I don't have on here, but it basically looks like this, but it has a little doctor's cross on it. So that is my plan for my weekly spreads in the new weeks. So then when we go to the blank pages in the back, I didn't know what to do with this before in my 2023 weeks, like I mentioned in my last video. But this time I am going to be migrating the home maintenance log and my cleaning schedule that I had in my cousin over here. And same thing, I'm going to be trying out the Alistair method for the maintenance log. And again, I made example spreads in my old Hobonichi to show you guys. So this is the cleaning schedule that I am basically migrating over to the weeks. So this is basically what it kind of looks like. I messed up a little bit here because I did the highlights after I wrote these letters already, so it's smudged. So please ignore that. But the idea is the same. So on this side is the maintenance log. I moved all of those tasks over to here, and I just put a dot on all the months that I have to get it done. And then on this side, it's the same cleaning schedule. I have a schedule for every day. Kind of it's not super strict, it's more like a guideline of on what days I should be doing what cleaning or which rooms, and it makes keeping up with the house much easier, so I don't have to do like a huge deep clean every time I clean the house. So this is a little guide that I like. And over here, I was experimenting with these vertical lines to help readability, but I actually think that in this case, it's more important for me to figure out like which task it is. It's like easier for me to see the months. Let me just show you. So on this page, ignore this was here already. I was trying out an adulting log that I am not going to use, but on this side, I basically did the same maintenance log, but instead I had horizontal guidelines ruled out. And this way, it'll be easier for me to, when I look for, say we're in June, and then I look down, okay, for June, what do I have to do? And I go down, it's like, oh, first one. Okay, so I have to add salt to the water softener. And then you go down here, okay, I have to wipe the mirrors, etc. So it makes it easier to read what task it is instead of like going down here. I feel like I don't really need those vertical guides. But I'm not really sure, what looks better. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. If you think that these vertical lines are better or the horizontal lines, please let me know in the comments below. I really, really want to hear what you guys think. Also, same thing with the weekly spreads. I would love to hear what you guys think about these two layouts, whether it looks better or it might be better to have it more clean and just not include this workout column, or if it's better to have this column here. So after the cleaning logs, I have a space reserved for a finance tracker. So I won't show you guys what it actually looks like because my current setup, it kind of has sensitive information on there. But basically, I find that keeping track of finances, like especially taxes and retirement and all the little rules of how much you can contribute every year, blah, 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 I feel like that's really complicated and really hard for me to remember. I like to write that down. I'm a very like visual learner, so I like to draw it out or write it down, have charts. So I'm gonna be using this page kind of to track how much I've contributed, what's the plan, and how much I've been investing and things like that. So that'll be my finance tracking page. Then at the very end, I have a pen test. So I actually wanted to address this too. I know that people have been very hesitant about the new Hobonichi paper. And I actually think that, at least with my limited use of just doing this pen test, I think that the paper in the new weeks is actually better than the one in the old weeks. So when I was using this in 2023, I remember I was using my Energel cleanup pen in 0.4 millimeters, and it was smudging like crazy. Like, I think I did a pen test on this too. So it's a little hard to tell here, but you can see that it's smudged right here. And yeah, I had a lot of smudging in the beginning right here. Like a lot of smudging right here. So that really annoyed me, and then in the end I switched over to the Uniball 1, which didn't smudge as much, but it was much thicker. Even though it was 0.38 millimeters, which is technically a thinner point, for some reason when it's written on here, it looks thicker. So let me show you. So it's this one, the Uniball one. It's a little harder to see on camera, but when you write, it looks a little thicker than the Energel, and I really like the thinner look. But I never had this issue in my cousin. Like in my cousin, I never had that issue. Like to the point where I even forgot that the Energel, this pen smudging was an issue before. So yeah, I loved that about the cousin paper, but for some reason 2023 Weeks paper was so thin and so smooth that it wasn't, I guess, I don't know what happened, but the pen felt like it took way longer to dry and it was always smudging. But on this one, I feel like there's no smudging at all. This was all written with the Energel and there's no smudging. It doesn't go through the paper. Let me do a comparison. So this is the 2023, this is 2024. I mean, sorry, this is 2025. And it looks pretty much the same in terms of bleed through, but the smudging is just way better. You can ignore that because I think I smudged that too early. I didn't give it any time to dry, so I did that one more time after letting it dry for a few seconds. So yeah, I didn't have any issues with the pens, or the paper I should say. And actually I also did a similar pen test in the A6 just to test it out to see if there's any differences in the paper in this one. And the same thing, there's no issues at all with smudging. In my mind, the pen looks great. Like it looks beautiful. Yeah, the Pilot G2 was not a good choice. It was like smudging everywhere, but my go-to is the Energel and the Uniball, and both of these look great on this paper. And you look on the back here. Yeah. So I don't know if I'm just lucky or maybe I haven't used the pen for long enough. I will definitely let you guys know if it turns out not to be the case. So far right now, I don't have any issues with the paper. I guess there's not much to show you guys in this one because it's literally just going to be, I'm going to use each page as journaling or random thoughts. There's going to be, this is going to be a low stress, a no stress, no expectation book. But this one's going to be my everyday carry with the actual planning. And I just hope that having this size, I just love the size of the Weeks. Like having these so small, I will carry them around more easily and have more motivation to keep them up, because that is what I really liked about the Weeks when I had it in 2023. And as I mentioned in my last video, I thought I wanted more space to do daily journaling, and I figured out that that is just not me. There's no space in my life to sit down and journal for like an hour a day, you know, or even half an hour a day. It's just sometimes it gets too overwhelming. So yeah, that is how I'm going to be using my 2025 planners. It's all about functionality, practicality, minimalist. It's all about keeping it simple. So I hope you guys found that helpful or inspiring in some way. I'm really excited to get started in these new planners. And hopefully I'll be able to keep it up at least most of the year, unlike in my 2024 cousin. Let me know in the comments what planners you guys are using for 2025. If you guys have had any issues with the new Hobonichi paper, if you are using Hobonichi. Thank you guys so much for watching and happy planning. Bye!